I go where I am known. I go where I'm not an illusion. Where I go, I've noticed. Everybody goes there. Everybody goes there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Car Talk with Carla. My name is 𝗚𝗲𝗰𝗶𝗹, and I am thrilled to have with me tonight dealer principal of Key Cadillac, where I got my current Cadillac. Please welcome Michael Stanzak.
Thank you so much, Carla. I so appreciate it, and so appreciate your business as well. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the show with you.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And for those who are just tuning in to Car Talk with Carla, a segment and division of Around Town, we've been bringing you the best kept secrets, businesses, organizations, and people since 2003. We are the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. And tonight we're going to talk Cadillac and cars. And before we get into the history of Key Cadillac, I would love it, Michael, if you would share a little bit more about your background, history, and what inspired you to go into the automotive industry.
Well, my situation is I was born and raised in the South, and in 1973, my family came to Edina, Minnesota, when my father, Adam, became the dealer of Key Cadillac. He worked for a company called Key Royal Automotive Company, and their idea was to bring professionalism to the retail automobile business, and he worked his way through the ranks, and he was lucky enough to be chosen to be the dealer. So it was, needless to say, it was quite a change for us coming from New Orleans, Louisiana to Edina, Minnesota. And we walked right into the Arab oil embargo, and we held on. And my story is I graduated from Edina West in '76, then I went to Wisconsin Eau Claire and studied accounting, where I met my wife, Janet, and my first job out of college was working as an accountant for Modern Merchandising that owned LaBelle's catalog showrooms. I went on and got my CPA degree, and then I said, I really kind of like to get into sales, so I went to work for an insurance company called Pat Ryan and Associates, and their products were extended service contracts and credit, life, and disability. So for 9 months, I worked as a finance manager in Detroit, and Topeka, Kansas, and Chicago. And then I was promoted to be a district sales manager in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So my job was to call on my 23 dealers and help them sell more insurance products. I would also recruit finance managers for them. I would also train their salespeople, and I would drive about 4,000 miles a month. Wow. And after doing that for about 2 years, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I think I'd like to be a dealer. He says, I think that's a great idea, son, but you need to go someplace other than Key Cadillac to learn the business. So at the time, my father had an interest in an Oldsmobile dealership in Orlando, Florida, and he moved down there in 1986, where I sold cars for a year and a half. And then I was a sales manager, and then I was a service advisor, and I returned to Key Cadillac in 1990. And I had no idea how sage my father's advice was, because had I gone right to Key Cadillac and done well, they would have said it's because your last name is Stanzak. And had I not done well, they'd say the only reason they haven't fired you yet is your last name is Stanzak. So the fact that I was in Orlando selling Oldsmobiles to people from all over, and they said, let me get this right. Your father has a Cadillac dealership in Edina, Minnesota. Does that mean I get a better buy in my Oldsmobile? So it all worked out. So came back to Minnesota in 1990. We live in Chanhassen. Mm-hmm. And I had various roles at the dealership. I was the finance manager. Then I was the used car manager for quite a while. Then I was the assistant to the general manager. And in February 2011, I became the dealer principal, which means I signed the sales and service agreement with General Motors, 75 pages. And I'm the dealer principal, so I get all the good letters and bad letters, and I'm ultimately responsible for the performance of the dealership in Edina. So that's pretty much my story.
That is fantastic. And I know I'm going to, because I'm getting feedback, I'm just, as I talk, I'm going to mute your mic so that they don't hear it twice. and then I'll undo it. So great story. And I'm not sure, there's been a few technical difficulties, but thank you. We've got a lot of people online. So I want to make sure you hear all this great information. Not only did you just hear the background and history of Michael, but now I would love for Michael to share the history of the Key Cadillac and his dad, and kind of a little bit more information on that too. So I'm going to unmute it so he can talk. There you go.
Thank you. So the facility that we're at now, which is 69th in New York, was actually built by Round Horse in 1965. And the original dealer was called 𝗚𝗂𝗲𝗀 Cadillac. And Key Royal bought 𝗚𝗂𝗲 Cadillac in 1973. So things have certainly changed a lot from 73 to 2025. I guess one of the big things is the number of Cadillac dealers has shrunk, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There are currently 200 standalone Cadillac dealers in the country. There's probably another 400 Cadillac dealers that have Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC, and Cadillac is paired with them. And then, of course, the other thing that's happened is we're in luxury import heaven, if you want to say that, being in Edina. I mean, there are more BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas, Lexus, Acuras, Audis sold in my backyard than there are any other place in the state of Minnesota. But in terms of the history of Key Cadillac, it's we've always prided ourselves on service after the sale and training our salespeople and trying to be as transparent as possible. And Cadillac has evolved, and I think Key Cadillac has evolved too. I can remember when I was a used car manager, and you can remember this too, Carla, pre-internet land, you used to buy all this ads in the Star Tribune, and that's how everybody got their cars. And then we transitioned into the internet with all the different internet sites. And so it's been a little bit of a learning process, but at the end of the day, people want to feel like they're treated well and they have good value. And the other thing that's happened, briefly, I'll talk about this, is that Cadillac used to be predominantly a large sedan market. In fact, in 1995, when we sold 400 new cars, 250 of those were large sedans. So 2 years ago, when we sold 400 new cars, probably 350 of them were SUVs, which didn't even exist back in the 90s. So it's evolved, it's changed. So anyway, that's a little bit about Key Cadillac.
Well, and thank you for that. And, to your point, it's been fun to watch Key Cadillac evolve. And for those who have followed Around Town TV for the last 25 years, and a lot of people know a lot of times I had my parents on the show. They also, if you see the logo of Car Talk with Carla, you will see there's a Corvette and an XLR. Key Cadillac not only serviced the XLR as well as the Corvette over the years, but people would tease us because my dad also had from Key Cadillac well, he's had many Cadillacs from there, but the last one that he had that I loved was a DTS, and it was just, in fact, I think your wife drove it. And so people would tease us that we had this small GM dealership, but we were big Cadillac people. It's been fun to watch it evolve and then into the SUV piece of it. Thank you for sharing that. I also love, you had shared with me offline, the history of Cadillac Motor Car Division. If you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that as well.
Boy, that's, I'll try to be brief. It's kind of like opening up Encyclopedia Britannica. People know what that is. But anyway, Cadillac was founded in 1902, and it was named after Anton D. Moth Cadillac, who was the founder of Detroit, and that was the name. And they were known for precision, very reliable cars. And I think it was in 1908, they entered a contest in the United Kingdom for the Dewar Trophy, like Dewar Scotch. But anyway, the Dewar Trophy was an interchangeable contest where they took 1,000, they basically took a car apart and they put it all on the floor, and then you had to put the car back together again because to make sure the parts were standardized, and Cadillac won. And so that was one of the first awards that Cadillac won because of the interchangeability and the reliability of their cars. And Cadillac has done so many things. In 1912, they, one of the Cadillac engineers was the first to start with an electric starter because he had a friend who was cranking his car and ended up breaking his arm on a bridge. So this Charles Kettering guy came up with the idea of an electric starter. So again, that was back in 1912. In 1915, they had the first mass-produced V8 engine. They had the first synchronized automatic transmission in 1929. In 1930, they had a V16, a mammoth engine at the time, still is. They also introduced air conditioning in 53, power steering in 54, automatic climate control. Of late, they've introduced OnStar in 1997, which will track you and help you if you're in your time of need. They introduced something called MagnaRide, which adjusts, I think, 1/100th of a second will adjust the firmness or stiffness of the ride. And then in 2016, they introduced Super Cruise, which is semi-autonomous hands-free driving, which is just fantastic. And I love cruise control. It's like, oh, you dine at a Chanhassen, and if I can put the cruise control on and just look out the window and not have to touch the pedals or the steering wheel, it works great. So
I agree.
Very progressive in terms of what Cadillac has brought. And this doesn't talk at all about styling. It just talks about engineering breakthroughs that Cadillac has been responsible for over the years.
Love it. Well, and people will talk about engines and, oh, well, the new turbo, this and that, they're just as good. I love my V8 engine. And in that XLR, that was meant to compete with the Corvette engine, right? The North American and that.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Okay.
It was a high-performance engine, and it was meant to compete with the Corvette. And I think it did a good job competing with the Corvette. Maybe it was a little nichier, if you will.
Oh, no. I can tell you. So of the 2001 G06 Corvette that I have, and then I have obviously the XLR. Most people love the XLR over the Corvette.
The lines in the XLR are fantastic. And on a personal note, again, I mentioned I graduated from high school in 1976. So I have two 1976 Eldorado convertibles.
Oh.
We named them Thelma and Louise.
I love it.
One of them is a bicentennial edition. At the end of the full-size Eldorado run, convertible run in 76, they had 200 identical in honor of the country's bicentennial. So they're all white with red pinstriping and custom wheel covers and special pinstripes and a little gold plate that says this is one of the last 200 full-size Eldorado Fleetwood convertibles made by Cadillac Motor Car Division. And this is not official by any means, but I think a third of them went to barns for people to use as investments. A third of them went to the Middle East, and a third of them went to people to actually drive. So anyway.
Well,
really
it's funny that you
great lines.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because earlier today, many of you know that I'm a regional vice president in sales for Stream Company. And on a call today, I was with a gentleman who's been in the industry as long as you, if not a little longer. Instead of Escalade, it was Eldorado. I had one of those back in the day. Beautiful, sleek line. So you can time that up today.
They do. I mean, we all have our preference, but I like sitting in the car and looking at the lines of the fenders and looking at the hood. And with the 76 Eldorado, it seems to go on forever, if you will. But anyway, it's
right. I'd love to see those one day. You know, one of the things that I love about not only Key Cadillac, but the Cadillac brand is the people behind it. Good people like your Brian, who's still behind my car. There's just incredible people, not only at your dealership, but many of the other dealerships that I've met over the years. But Cadillac has a history to commitment and performance. Let's talk about that.
Well, let's talk about performance. So again, the engine, the V16 that they established in 1930, and the very consistent V8 that they came out with. But I don't know how many of your people on the show are familiar with Le Mans. Le Mans has been going on for, I don't know, 50, 75 years, and it's a 24-hour endurance race in Le Mans, France. Are you familiar with it, Carla?
I've heard of it, but I'm not as familiar as some others. So thank you for sharing.
So in 1950, Cadillac entered two Series 61s Coupe de Villes, and one of them had been modified with an aluminum body that they put in a wind tunnel and everything, and the French named it Le Monster. And the other one was pretty much just a right off the assembly line, 1950 Series 61 Coupe de Ville, and they called it, what did they call it? Petite 𝗬𝗲𝗏, which means clumsy puppy.
Oh,
So
wow.
they entered this race in 1950, and the clumsy puppy took 10th out of all the cars in the world. And I think that was maybe the beginning of Cadillac being involved in racing. And then in 2004, Cadillac introduced the V Series, which is a high performance version of different models, and it's tuned by General Motors High Performance Division. So the first one they came out with was called the CTS V, and it had a 400 horsepower V8 engine, which was a lot in 2004, and you can only get it with a manual transmission, and thus the V line by Cadillac was started. And there's been 4 other generations of the CTS V with more and more powerful engines, and I'll go to the back and then I'll go back a little bit. The current version is called the CT5V Blackwing, with a supercharged V8, handmade V8 engine that generates 682 horsepower, which is just phenomenal for the sedan. In fact, you had a picture of it at the beginning of the show. But what I want to go back to is I think the second generation of the CTS-V, they introduced a coupe, and they also introduced a station wagon. So can you imagine a manual high-performance V8 station wagon? It's just amazing.
That is.
It's kind of one of those unicorn kind of cars that are very prized and highly sought after, and people that bought them waited a long time to get them, and they're very proud of them, and they're still worth a tremendous amount today because of the, I guess, exclusivity of it. And Cadillac has expanded the V series of the models. In 2023, they introduced the Escalade V, which again is a supercharged V8. And for a 7,000-pound Escalade, it just flies. And it too is very performance oriented with the tires, the Brembo brakes, high capacity cooling, but more than anything, the horsepower of the car. And even in the lyric models they have, the electric models they have a V version as well. But Cadillac is really into racing, and I'll wrap up this racing thing. They have what's called a hypercar, Carla, and that's what runs at Le Mans now. And it's a combination of an electric hybrid, and then it kicks into the aspirated V8 engine. And this past summer, Cadillac took 3rd overall at Le Mans, which is a huge thing. And next year, Cadillac is going to be in Formula One, in F1. They're going to have a team in that.
Wow.
So they're very much committed to performance.
Is that the car that has the Ferrari engine or comparable to it?
It is the car that'll have a Ferrari engine, because they're not going to have their engine available till 29. And the sanctioning body said that was fine.
I think that's so amazing. And just the way the performance has evolved, and it's stayed top notch. And I can tell you, my XLR goes from 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds.
Yeah. There you go. Fun to drive.
It is fun to drive. For many years, we talked about the big, beautiful, sleek lines of Cadillac. And then there was the SUVs, which has really become really. Let's talk about that. Escalades.
Sorry, would you repeat that? The sleek lines, and then
the transition of the Cadillac into the SUVs.
Oh, right. Okay, got it. I got the V part. I don't hear really well. Just ask my wife.
No problem.
No, that's a huge transition, and the way that came about was in 1999, and it might have been fun to be in the room, but there were all these VPs and muckety mucks, and they decided to give Cadillac an SUV, much to the dismay of the GMC dealers, because what they gave them was a rebadged Yukon. And so in 1999, the first model Cadillac came on the market. Cadillac never had an SUV before. And there were 4 options available: silver sand, cotillion white, sable black, or Bordeaux red. They were all the same, and they sold like hotcakes. It was just amazing how popular they were. And then it started to evolve. They started to change it and differentiate them dramatically from GMC. And Escalade is actually a word from a French word, which means escalator or something like that, which means to climb or to scale. They actually had a word contest to name the vehicle. So with very humble beginnings in 1999, the Escalade took off, and it's become somewhat of an urban legend, and it is the most popular in sales of full-size luxury SUVs.
Oh,
And it's had quite a development since 1999. For instance, in 2003, they introduced the long wheelbase version of Suburban. Oh no, what happened?
uh-oh.
Carla?
Yep. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh, yep.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. That was your dad.
You can. Okay. Well, I can't hear you, but my computer went out or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, they introduced the ESV version of the Escalade, the long version. They also introduced the EXT, which was a truck version of it as well. And then it continually evolved, and they redid the body style from 07 to 2015. And that was very blingy, if you will, in terms of the chrome on the car. And all of the Escalades have a lot of ornamentation with the headlights, the attention to detail, the interior just evolved. And then from 15 to 21, they had another new generation. And then of late, they introduced the newest version in 2021, which has been an absolute hit. Why has it been a hit? Because the way that it looks, the way that it rides, the technology, the fact that it has a 38-inch OLED, and then they redid it in 25 where it has a 55-inch OLED, which is light emitting diodes, dash going all the way across. And in 25 and 26, the passenger can actually watch YouTube movies or whatever, and it's blocked from the driver being able to see it by looking over. So that's kind of the Escalade. That's where it started. They also, in 04, introduced a midsize SUV called the SRX, which was very popular. That became
I drove that.
the 5, which you have now, and that's probably our most popular gas model SUV. They just sell a lot of them. And then about 4 years ago, they introduced a smaller, I think they call it a subcompact or compact called the XT4. And then also 4 years ago, they introduced a 3-row gas-powered one called the XT6. Crossover Touring 4, Touring 5, or Touring 6.
That is fantastic. Can you hear me? You
I can't hear you.
Okay.
That's okay.
I'm gonna. Okay, hello. Okay, I'm gonna just see. Oh, okay. They can hear me, but you can't. Huh. Let's see here. I'm just gonna check one thing. Okay, so it's on, Michael. It's on your end. Do you have your phone?
I do.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I'll write down my number.
Well, no. I was gonna say if you can hear me, ask the question on because you can't hear me, can you? Or can you? Oh, you can't hear me? Oh yeah. No, I've got your number.
Mhm.
Okay. So they can hear me. You're the only one who can't
Yeah.
hear me.
Do you want to call me on my phone?
Sure. I'll just call you right now. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So we've got a couple more questions.
Talk about
Okay.
improvising, adaptive, and overcoming. We got
I
it.
know. So here I'm gonna mute this so they can't hear. So they can hear me out on the air, and you're the only one who can't hear me. So it might be on your end. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you a question from here, so then you can finish because we just have a couple more. We're going to talk about the Cadillac's electrification and, of course, the future, and then anything else you'd like. But they'll be able to hear you. You just can't hear me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I will let you talk about Cadillac's electrification, if you will, unless there was something else about the SUV that you didn't finish.
No, kudos to Cadillac in that they have both electric and gas SUVs, which I think is really good that they've been able to do that. So that's pretty much all I have to say about it. They have a full range of it. I would like to say,
Yep.
I would like to comment on the Escalade IQ,
Yeah.
which was renamed Motor Trend's SUV of the Year. So it's a full-size Escalade and it's electric. And of course, first question people have is, well, how far will it go? Well, it'll go 460 miles. You can drive from here to Chicago without having to charge it. Then the next question is, well, what about when it's 2 below zero? I said, well, it's 2 below zero, you're probably going to lose a third, more or less, of your range that you have. But it's just a phenomenal vehicle. The fact that it was chosen as Motor Trend's SUV of the year says a lot.
Wow.
So, but you want me to talk about the switch to electrification?
Sure, if you don't mind.
So Cadillac introduced the Lyriq. All of Cadillac's electric vehicles end with IQ. And the Lyriq started with a blank sheet of paper, and it was just phenomenal. It's a mid-size SUV. It's a little bit larger than your XT5. And the styling of the vehicle is amazing. One of the most unique things about it is the front of the vehicle. It doesn't have a grille because it doesn't need air to come in. So it has this black panel that lights up that's electric. So when you walk up to it, it kind of greets you. It almost like birds' wings go out because the lights go out like that. And then they have waterfall on the side and the water comes down on the side. It's just amazing the way that looks. The lines in the vehicle are beautiful. The interior of the vehicle is beautiful with jewel-like touches, a 38-inch screen. It's just, you just really feel like you're in a luxury vehicle. It's just gorgeous. The performance is amazing. It has a 300-mile range. The next popular question is, how long will it take to charge? If it's on a DC fast charger that is out there in the public and at the dealerships, it'll probably take about 45 minutes. If you have a level 2 charger in your home, it'll probably take about 6 hours overnight to get to completely charged at 300 if you were empty. But that was the first all-electric vehicle that Cadillac made, and it was launched in 2023. Last year, Cadillac sold 28,000 of them. It was the top luxury EV vehicle in the world. Very, very popular.
I was at Charlie's on Pryor eating lunch, and I came out, and I had never seen one. Can you hear me? Okay, I was on Charlie's on Pryor, and I came out, and I was like, what is that car? That is gorgeous, because I didn't recognize it as a Cadillac. And then I saw the Cadillac logo, and then I realized what it was, that car that you're speaking about right now.
It's amazing. We have lots of them, and people are welcome to come by Key Cadillac and drive one if they like. I mean, everybody goes, an EV is not for me. And like, well, that's fine. I know we have things other than EVs, but at least consider it, try it. It seems like the EV works out great for people that commute here in the Twin Cities and things like that. And people say, well, what about my cabin up in Grand Marais? And a lot of times they have an Escalade in the garage too.
Right.
So some of the other electric vehicles that Cadillac has come out with, I mentioned the Escalade IQ, and then they also have the IQL, which is a long version. And then they introduced the Vistic, VISTIQ, which is like a baby Escalade. So it's a 3-row vehicle. It has about a 300-mile range, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and it has many of the styling cues of the Escalade. And then the latest thing that we came out with about 5 months ago is called the Optic, which is a smaller than the Lyriq. It's like a Lyriq Light. It's smaller. It's more like in the $50,000 range. It's all-wheel drive. It has Super Cruise. It's amazing, and it has about a 300-mile range as well. So I feel very comfortable with Cadillac's lineup of electric vehicles. And I'd like to make one point. When they passed the big, beautiful bill, Carla, and they rescinded the $7,500 federal tax credit, Cadillac pivoted and said, you know, maybe we don't need to be all electric by 2030. And they're coming out with a new XT5, and I heard rumored an XT5L, and they're doubling down on gas production vehicles. So I think it's great. It's going to be the best of both worlds, what I'm trying to say.
I agree. For those who aren't familiar, talk about what Super Cruise is, because there may be some women watching this that might not know what that means. And I'm not meaning that as a condescending comment to women. I just know a lot of my girlfriends, when we talk about cars, are like, what's that? What's that? Because I'm an automotive enthusiast, but not all my friends. They just like a pretty nice car.
Yes. So Super Cruise is, when I say semi-autonomous, there's 400,000 miles of road you can use Super Cruise on. And basically it's hands-free and feet-free driving. A couple caveats: you do have to look out the windshield about every 45 seconds. It has a sensor on your steering wheel to make sure that your eyes are looking out. So you can't read the newspaper. You can wear sunglasses, but it looks at you.
Hmm.
Um, and the way that it works is it uses LiDAR, it uses very high-tech GPS and cameras and sensors to keep you exactly where you need to be. And it's progressed to the point now where it will seek out an opening in the traffic and automatically change lanes for you, or you can put on your blinker and it'll automatically change lanes for you as well. And it will
Wow.
maintain the distance that you set between you and the vehicle ahead of you. I have a friend and a customer whose son went to Iowa State, and he had an Escalade with Super Cruise. And what he would do is he would get the football game on his iPhone and just put up on his dash, and he'd watch, because it was on his dash, and he would just go all the way to Iowa State without having to touch the steering wheel or touch the brake. So it's very safe. Again, it's been around since 2016.
Wow.
People seem to like it a lot. It
Right.
works.
Absolutely, it does work. So one of the last questions is the Cadillac's future. I know they have a great future and a lot of plan. You touched on it a little bit, but I'd like, if you wouldn't mind, to discuss it a little bit more with the viewers.
Well, I think Cadillac's future is very bright, and I give them a lot of credit for reinventing themselves over the years and pivoting and things like that. The fact that we're going to have a new XT5 and an XT5L, the fact that they're committed to gas as well as being very progressive in the electric range. They're the fastest growing luxury automotive manufacturer. They're the #1 luxury electric vehicle manufacturer in 2025. The fact that they're still very concerned about performance and entering F1, I think the future will be very, very bright. And I think in the past, maybe Cadillac was known more for their styling and their interiors as opposed to the performance of the vehicles. They still have great styling. They still have great interiors. In fact, they were one of the first companies to offer heated seats back in the early 60s. But more than that, I think it's the whole package. It's the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it performs, the reliability of the vehicle. I think the future is very bright. I'm very happy to be a Cadillac dealer.
Oh, I don't blame you. And for those turning in, we've had a lot of people online, and I want to thank you. I've had the dealer principal of Key Cadillac, second generation, Michael Stanzak, here with me, and we've been talking about the history and background and performance and different models and things. And he was just talking about the future of Cadillac. Is there anything else, Michael, that we haven't covered that you would like the viewers to know?
Boy, I think we've really covered a lot. I mean, one of the main things that we keep hearing from Cadillac is the customer experience. What can we do to make it as easy and transparent? One of the things that's happened is the cars require a lot less service. We used to see people every 3 months. Now maybe we see people once every 7 months. The other thing they're doing is they're able to do updates over the air with the car. So you don't necessarily have to bring the car in because they realize that people's time is so valuable.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great experience to drive a Cadillac, not only because of the way it feels, but also from the maintenance standpoint, the reliability standpoint, the safety standpoint. I'll just touch on that briefly. There's so many accident avoidance things, Carla, to keep you in your lane, to let you know if somebody's coming up beside you. We have bicycle detection, we have pedestrian detection, we have deer detection, we have all these things that will literally help prevent you from getting into an accident. And then heaven forbid, if the worst thing happens and you hit the tree or the pole or whatever. I have a dear friend who's a neighbor, Jeff and Lynn, and they hit the concrete wall in their XT5 at 70 miles an hour coming back from Michigan. And she had a broken wrist and he had some bruises. And the first thing they said is, we're going to go buy another Cadillac XT5 for Michael because it saved her life. And that's what the car's designed to do. So.
Wow, that's incredible. And if you're wondering why we're using the phone, you all can hear both Michael and I, but Michael can't hear me. And so we're not sure what happened here halfway through. Gotta love technology, but I have to thank you all for being on. Michael may not know this, but above this live video is not only all the information just of what we were going to discuss in this video, but also the link to his website for any of you interested. This is a good time to buy, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a great time to buy. And most of Cadillac models qualify for accelerated depreciation. So if perhaps you have a business or you're looking for a write-off, all of our SUVs are 6,000 miles and more, and talk to your tax person about what accelerated depreciation means. But perhaps they might say you can either spend it on yourself or give it to Uncle Sam. So it's a thought anyway.
Well, and I did that a year ago. I bought my XT5 from Michael 1 year ago. In fact, I think it was today, ironically, and I love my car. I absolutely love it. It's I went from an SRX to the XT S4, and I had a hard time giving that one up. It was, in fact, you were very good. Your whole team was really good about, okay, yeah, we can keep this one going. But it was another friend, dear friend in the business, who went, I think it's time, Carla. Brent Wade. A lot of you know Brent Wade. He's Volkswagen and Mitsubishi, but he's a dear friend of mine. And he was like, it's time to go get a new Cadillac. And so I did. And I don't regret it at all. I'm thankful for your team. I'm thankful for all of you tuning in tonight, watching Car Talk with Carla. Again, the website's there. Jump on the website. Take a look at some of their cars. One of the other things I have to tell you that I love, Michael, is the emails that I get once a month telling me where I'm at with service, oil, and through OnStar and through your dealership. I love that. And I look forward to that. It's not a pain because it reminds me that where I'm at with things, and it keeps me safe and keeps the car in tip-top shape.
That's it. That's what it's all about. It's also a lot about convenience and honoring your time. So whatever we can do to make it easier for you, we're all about doing that.
Well, and one of my favorite, in fact, I believe he retired, Dan. Dan and Mary were both. Yeah. Yep. They took care of my parents, my late parents, who are now both in heaven, but they kept Key Cadillac going for a long time. And I hope to be the second generation that continues that. If there's, we've had a lot of people online, and I'm glad that you tuned in for our Car Talk with Carla segment tonight. I really, really appreciate all of you and your support over the years. Again, we're Minnesota's lifestyle and business experts. We're America's lifestyle and business experts. And we've been featuring the best kept secrets, businesses, organizations, and people since 2003. And what an honor and pleasure to have you on tonight, Michael.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. What an honor to be here.
Oh, well, we'll do it again. Anything you'd like to say before we close the show?
A very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. And if I can help you in any way, please come by Key Cadillac, and we'd love to be of any assistance we could be.
That's fantastic. Thank you all again for tuning in. I hope, let's see. I have one more show tomorrow evening with 𝗬𝗲𝗋𝗃. We'll be in her studio kitchen, and we're going to be making hot chocolate. And I know that sounds simple, but you're going to want to tune in and not miss that show. And that will be the last show of the year. I may pop on here and there, but official show before we head into the new year. So those of you who are tuning in, of course, I'm wishing you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year as well. But yeah, do tune in again tomorrow night. Thank you again, Michael, and I will see the rest. Thank you. We'll see the rest of you tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on Around Town TV. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.